because I don't really get a period.
Because your womb never really rebuilt as it should.
Yeah, so there's just a lot of scar tissue, so there's no lining that can really build up.
It's that sort of like line in the sand where it's like, this is me before, this is me after, and they are very different. This transforms everything for you and me. It's got me in the feels.
The haircut is interesting.
So I've had some taken from here and I've had it put in there. Broom's like tapping the door and I'm like, I'm in here.
I was solo parenting and Ryan was high.
Yeah.
Watching shit TV all day. Oh, sorry, we're ready? Yeah. Oh, I didn't know. I didn't know we were going. Oh, so we can start whatever.
Oops.
Oh, that's funny. Okay.
All right, 3, 2, 1, go.
Hey guys, welcome back to He Said, She Said. I'm Louise.
And I'm Ryan.
And we are here to talk about everything that couples need to talk about. The taboos, the tricky conversations, the bits that sneak up when life gets complicated.
Yep.
The people so often brush under the carpet. Are you
We
ready
had to
for an
break
honest chat?
Yeah, yes. Where are we going today?
I love this because it's the only time I get to actually learn about you.
Yeah, okay. Well, what would you like to learn today?
Oh, I have a lot that I want to learn. I'm going to get deep into your soul, Rai.
Oh my God.
Well, should we start off with Leo's favourite word of the week?
Which one?
This is a lot.
His vocab is really developing quite well at the moment, so which one?
Well, I've now heard him use the word willy, which I actually find really sad.
Why?
Because we always used to call it a wee-wee.
He's sort of progressed.
It's progressed and now, but is he allowed to say willy? Is that in the dictionary? What is the actual word for a?
For sure, a penis in the dictionary.
Is it actually?
Well, it has to be. That's the biological term for it.
Is it?
Yeah, but I don't want my 4-year-old son to start rolling out that word.
It's such a gross word.
Yeah, actually it is, yeah. I don't know if vagina's much better, in truth.
No, but actually we did get in trouble once for talking about different names for vaginas and people like, why can't you just call a vagina a vagina?
Oh, well, there we go then.
But I think it's kind of endearing to have different names.
No, I never really had a nickname for my penis.
Did you not?
Not really, no.
Do you have friends that did? I feel like people just call it a Johnson.
Oh yeah.
Imagine if your name is Johnson.
That's the default name for it, yeah. In fact, that's the next progression for Leo. He's going to go from Willie to Johnson.
When did you first recognise that you had a willy on your body?
First knew I had a Johnson. Probably when I did the whole crossing swords thing for the first time with a mate from nursery, I would imagine. I don't remember which mate, but I would have definitely crossed swords.
Have we spoken about crossing swords before?
No? Oh,
Does everyone know what crossing swords is?
Yeah, well,
Okay, so for all the girls that are listening, you definitely won't know what this is until you have a son.
You and a pal go for a wee together, lift up the lid on the toilet, and
Lou,
yeah. And
Sorry,
you just
I hate the word toilet.
cross swords with your...
Yeah, basically, like I saw Leo and his cousins.
You don't touch wee-wees,
weeing
by the way.
together. No, but your wee touches.
Yeah, but that...
And William's a bit older than Leo, and he was like, "Oh, should we cross swords?" And so now Leo loves going to the loo and with other people and weeing, and they create a cross with their wee stream.
It's like the toddler version of me and Sam on the roof with a lightsaber. It's like, should we cross swords, dude? It's like, yeah, let's do it. I don't even need a wee, but let's do it.
Between men and women, like, can you imagine if women were like trying to wee on top of each other? That's so gross. Like,
that's
and also,
a different speed.
But boys are quite relaxed. Like, you're quite happy to see your
junk,
your guy friends, like in the changing room, in the locker room. Like, you just let it all hang out.
Wait.
Don't you?
Well, I think as a child, you have like just complete innocence and curiosity about the whole thing. So he did it to me the other day. I pulled out the whole package instead of just the Johnson. He was like, "What's that?" And I was like, "No, you've got the same. It's just you haven't quite developed yet." And he's like, "You've got a big fat something there." I'm like, "You're talking about my balls, dude."
Well, you said you've got a big fat something.
Yeah,
there.
he didn't know what it was, and I was like, Usually, me and him would cross swords with just the Johnson out.
But you've crossed swords with Leo
All the time.
Oh my God, I did not know that.
Except now he's gone a bit weird. He stands on the loo seat and he sort of like shoots a single shot down himself. No crossing swords.
Leo will clamber onto the loo. So he's standing 2 feet on the loo seat and peeing from like a meter up in the air.
Yeah, but do you know what? I wish
manners.
I could do that. I wish I could get away with doing that.
Do you?
It's just fun, isn't it? That's just boys.
Okay. At what point do you start like feeling a bit of shame, where you look around and you think,
I know.
my wee wee is smaller than that?
I know. I actually know
and
the
now
moment.
I can't be naked in the changing room.
I can actually tell you the moment. Post rugby training at school, boarding school in South Wales, all stripped off, went into the showers, and I looked up and I just saw like an array of mighty boosh around me. And they were quite big schlongs as well. And I was like, oh my God, I'm bald as a coot. And I'm like, I'm not packing any size out of the hat. And I was about 11. And at that point I knew, because I was like, wow, I am far behind on the whole
Oh wait, you were in the
development
same
scale.
year?
Yes, I was in the same year. These guys had hairy bushes. And you know some of these guys as well.
Yeah, you always talk about your best friend.
Yeah, but it's not just him. There was about 4 of them. Yeah,
What? And so you'd see that they had loads of pubes,
mighty boosh.
and you didn't have a single pube,
completely.
like not even one.
Yeah.
Oh my God! Oh, but I guess that is like puberty, isn't it?
Yeah, but I don't think. I was certainly late to arrive at the whole puberty stage.
How old were you?
Wait,
What actually? What is the
not 11.
But what is the like signal for guys? So, I find this so fascinating. Your voices break
Yeah, that's something you don't really catch though. That's not like you don't wake up one day with a.
because people used to joke about it. Like girls would say that a guy's voice would go from like really high to really low and then quite squeaky in the middle.
Yeah, I don't think that's not really something you catch. You do have catch the sudden sprouting of a bush and a.
What? So one morning you just wake up and you
No,
got
not
a bush.
no, not. It's definitely not, at least not for me. It wasn't an overnight thing.
And what were yours like blonde? Can I just let everyone that's listening know that you have now caught up and you're doing really well?
Well, I think people can probably tell that I've got a slug on my lip. So.
I'm not talking about that.
Oh my God. Well.
Oh my God, there's so many places I want to
I'm
go.
talking about an 11-year-old Ryan here. Slightly different to a 36-year-old version.
Okay.
Do you know what we used to do? We used to get our shower gel because these shower blocks were huge, right? I mean, big enough for like 15, 20 boys.
What,
we used
so
to
you'd
get
all
shower
have to
gel.
shower together?
Yeah, we used to get shower gel on the floor and we used to body slide from one side to the next, completely naked. And that would be us for like a good 15 minutes after rugby training every day.
What, so all, like 15 people
Yeah,
naked in a
just
shower?
Like, it's like something out of Happy Feet, just like penguins
I
everywhere.
love how innocent that is. And in my mind, I'm like, are you having like an orgy? Did you ever used to hook up with other boys at school?
Mate, are you... What kind of school do you think I went to?
We used to. We used to go and
Nah,
like
Louise.
lock ourselves in a common room and like sit in a circle and then kiss.
We had very different schools.
Like,
this explains a lot. This
we'd
explains
go
a lot.
round and then everyone would be like, oh, we'd like rate each other's kisses. It's actually really inappropriate.
Mate, no, we were crossing swords and doing belly flops in the showers and then normal boy stuff.
Okay.
When did you first realise that you were... Well, in fact, were you an early developer or late developer? Did you have a mighty boosh at 11?
No, I was a late developer.
You were a late developer
But
as
it
well?
is funny to me that as a guy, you wanted to get a bush when you were quite young.
Because it's a flex and it's like a, yo, I'm growing.
You're a man.
Yeah, I'm a man, yeah.
As a girl, we didn't want to. Like
Well-
we didn't want to get hairy. And then I guess that's continued up until the present day, where there's this expectation that women need to get rid of everything, like all of their body hair. But quite thrilled that actually the bush is coming back. What's your preference? I actually never asked you this. This is so intense.
I'm not a body hair person anywhere. Just be gone with the whole lot.
What, just like smooth as a seal, like
Yeah,
a dolphin?
yeah.
What, everywhere? Yeah.
Imagine I was like, no, I'd like you to just leave a little bit on the old shins. Yes, everywhere.
Well, that was very
Everywhere.
PG-13 of you.
Yeah, I'm not really... but each to their own, I suppose.
No. I actually like guys to have a bit of hair. If you haven't asked me, but I'm going to tell you. Because sometimes you'll like shave your arms because you're doing a swimming challenge. And...
Try and get that extra speed.
He actually is. And I'm like, you don't need to do that. Like, I don't want like gristly, spiky hair. I don't want stubble on your legs.
Oh, hang on. On the subject of
'Cause you
hair, Leo this morning said, why have I got hairy armpits and you don't?
He said that?
Yeah, he said that to me this morning.
Because sometimes he's pulled me up for having hairy armpits. And I'll say, why have you got hair on today? And I'll be like, the bush is back. Anyway, back to the point about puberty quickly, because you did ask whether I was an early or a late developer. I, much like you, was a late developer. I didn't get my period until I was 14.
When's the usual age? When do people usually start that?
I think probably any time between like 10 and 16.
As young as 10?
That's quite a lot. Your niece is
That would
10.
be, when you get your first period, that must be terrifying.
I think for the people that are early developers, probably yes.
Oh, but if you're later, people are like, yeah, don't worry about it, it's normal.
Well, I remember getting to a point where all of my friends that I was sharing a room with, I think we were in a dorm of like 12 people, and they all got their period, and I was really...
Because that's the thing as well, right? You've got sort of like, you all follow the same timings, right?
Yes, but I think, yes, I think for any girl, it can be quite scary when you, when you first get your period. Like, I didn't really know what to do. No one had taught me about tampons or pads. I love getting you to try and explain what a tampon is. What's a tampon?
What was the other one you said? Tampon
And the pads.
Well, the pads is a bit more self-explanatory, I would imagine.
What's a pad?
I would imagine it's like a nappy almost that lines like the scoop of your... I don't know. Goes... God. Is it like It doesn't go inside your thing. You put it on the outside. I'm getting myself tied up here. What's it called? A tampax? Tampon?
No, okay. I'll start. Like, well, what's a tampon then? So I think what you're trying to say is a pad is like it sits in your pants.
Yeah, like a
and
nappy.
catches the blood that comes out every month.
Right.
Which sucks, by the way.
By the way,
Although I
would
don't have a
imagine
period
that
anymore.
I'm guessing that that's not the most commonly
Used option.
right. I'd imagine the tampon is
Okay.
the option, right? Where you, fucking.
Yeah,
I
no,
have
say
no
it.
idea
What
I'm
is a
doing.
tampon? What is a tampon?
I don't. I actually don't know
You do,
what's.
because you've tried to explain it to me before.
No, it's the white cotton bud thing, I suppose, that you shove up the woo woo, and I'd imagine it expands as it captures the blood, and then it's the string to pull it back out.
Well done, Ryan.
Right, which
Bravo.
holy smokes.
Are you going to pass out?
Well, no, because now I'm thinking of like these horror stories of not being able to get them out, or you forget they're up there and all that sort of stuff.
Well, yeah, it can be complicated.
Is that?
It's actually been
what
4 years since I've had to, 5 years since I've had to use one, which is crazy. I remember not understanding how to use one when I was 14 and spending a long time in the loo trying to figure it out. And it was really painful. But actually some of them have applicators. So it's plastic and it slides inside and then you just push it up and it sort of goes in really easily.
Well,
It's
that
the
actually
best
does
invention
make
ever.
Yeah, that does make a lot of sense. Yeah, an applicator.
Yeah. And other times when I was like, this just isn't working, I used to just fold tissue up and like triple stack it and then put it in my pants.
That sounds pretty intense.
Well, I actually just didn't even know, like, I just actually didn't have the confidence to go and buy
Wait, hang on.
sanitary products from Boots.
Tissue paper, loo paper is too thin to be doing that. Surely you would
So
have
I'd
had
like fold it over like a lot of times.
And then what? And then what?
Isn't that awful? And then like I remember once it like fell out, and I was like, oh my god, because we'd have to wear skirts as part of our uniform. It just sort of slid out. I didn't claim it, but yes, a lot of horrible experiences with periods.
Like all the things we're talking about now, as children and young teenagers. I don't know. At some point, the curiosity and the natural kind of like exploring your body. At what point does that turn into like, oh, I'm a bit self-aware, I'm a bit conscious. He's got a mighty boosh, I haven't. At what point does that happen? The whole like body image distortion thing.
I think as a girl, yeah, it's definitely puberty. Like when you start comparing like bra sizes and stuff.
Yeah.
So as your boobs grow a little bit, they never got that far in my case. You then look around at what other people have got, and then you notice what other people find more attractive, and then you start to feel less than.
So puberty is where it all starts in that whole comparison to others. And it doesn't really
Actually,
stop.
I think puberty, yes, but also then when you start having an interest in the other sex, because then when people start like dating boys, yeah, you're more interested in what they like. So actually, as someone that was in an all-girls boarding school, when we weren't with boys, like we really didn't care what we looked like. We never wore makeup. We always looked like shit, basically. Yeah, I think it's when you start dating boys and girls? When you start dating? I'd say that's when you start to become more self-conscious. What about you? You were at a mixed school.
No, yeah, I was, yeah. I don't have the answer. I'm just curious about that when that happens, because I just think that moment of like when you start to compare and assess and weigh yourself against him or her, that's the beginning of that journey of, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think some people get lost in that.
Well, I think you've always been someone that seems very confident on the outside.
Yeah, but you know that internally as a child, I was not confident.
No.
In fact...
And you've just had quite a mega procedure done that I think people would be quite shocked by.
You, of course, already know this, but the listeners will definitely not know this unless they've done some recon on some of these social media clips where you look at the back of my head and you're like, that's a pretty intense haircut for Ryan.
When you look like Peaky Blinders.
Yeah, Pika?
Yeah, stop pulling me out for speaking with a weird accent.
The truth is, Louise, and everyone listening, I had a hair transplant at the end of last year, which I think was a really good time because it meant that I could just lay low and just adjust to my new haircut for a while.
This episode is sponsored by Wild Nutrition. If you're juggling parenting, work and life, finding a wellness routine that actually fits can prove challenging. For me, supporting my skin from the inside has become really important, especially when skincare alone doesn't feel good enough. So I've been taking Wild Nutrition's Collagen 500 Plus, formulated to support smoother, firmer, and radiant skin. And I love how easy it is to weave into my routine. I just pop a teaspoon in my morning tea or stir it into my porridge.
And I've been taking Wild Nutrition's KSM 66 Ashwagandha Plus to properly unwind at night. It's great for relaxing my mind and muscles.
Your body is wired to absorb nutrients from food. That's why Wild Nutrition only ever use food-grown ingredients.
For absorption you can trust and energy you can feel.
Wild Nutrition are offering He Said, She Said listeners 50% off for 3 months, plus a free personal consultation with a nutritional therapist.
Just go to wildnutrition.com/he said, she said. That's wildnutrition.com/he said, she said to feel the difference yourself. Your 2026 Foundation for Wellness, T's and C's apply.
Do you feel quite liberated for saying this out loud?
Yeah, I do, yeah.
I think you're quite brave.
Yeah. Listen, I am aware that, and you actually had this view, and I think many other people will. I probably wasn't the most obvious candidate for a hair transplant because I do have a lot of hair. But that doesn't mean that I didn't have this sort of underlying feeling where I was semi-conscious about my hairline. I've always, my hair, by the way, my hair's quite difficult to tango with, which is why I wear hats. In truth, I don't wear hats to conceal my receding hairline. I do it because my hair's like moss and it's just so hard to style. Instead of like going all like sexy and wavy, it just goes that way.
Like Wolverine.
And it's like, I'll just put a hat on at
You
this
look like
point.
you're in Cats the musical.
Yeah.
In a costume.
But yeah, I think like cats, yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's important.
In a really cute way, by the way.
I'll
I
take
love your hair.
I'll
I
take
wish
it.
I had as much moss on my head.
I'll
Mine's
take
all
it.
fake.
I think the hair transplants, this is an important thing to talk about because for me, at least in my mind, this is a bit like a metaphor or a visual representation of men sort of sitting with something that's eating them up. So I think I first noticed my hairline being a slight issue was probably, I don't know, let's say 24, something like that. I wasn't losing hair, but I was just aware that my sort of the receding here was a bit further back than I wanted it to be. And it didn't eat me up to, I didn't avoid social situations. I wasn't losing tremendous amounts of confidence, but it was always a thought in the back of my mind. And when I'd watch movies, whether it was Disney or like action or superheroes, I couldn't help but like notice the hair. And it was,
Wow.
and it was never really, oh, he's got a receding hairline. It was more like, holy smokes, he's got like long flowing blonde locks or something like that. Because of everything that's happened in my world over the past 4 years, and I've become really aware of men struggling to articulate what they're suffering with and, you know, probably looking for more permission in certain environments and scenarios to talk about it and act on it. I decided to take a slightly crazy decision to have the hair transplant where they basically shaved the back of my head and they took some of the follicles and they put them into the front of my head here. It was an amazing procedure. and I did it with a guy called Dylan Fernando at the Treatment Rooms Clinic in Putney. Really lovely bloke. In fact, 7 of my mates now, having seen how simple and, less scary and less intense than you might think, they've all gone for consultations now. But I know a lot of men, and that's an indication for you. 7 of my mates in my world, 7. I don't really have many more than 7. They've all gone for consultations because
they had their consultations.
Yeah, because I think they've been waiting for someone in their world to sort of take the first step into that territory. And I think I seem to be that guy at the moment. I'm taking the first steps into different territories.
It's crazy to me how few men speak about it. So I hope you don't mind, but I told one of my really good girlfriends.
You did what?
On the weekend that you had one, because they were like, how's Ryan? And I was like, yeah, no, he's really good. And then I was trying to think of juicy things to say, and I was like, oh, he had a hair transplant. And she was like, oh, my husband also had a hair transplant last year. Might be having another one. And I was like, she never would have told me if I hadn't shared. So I think now you speaking honestly about it means that, it's really great to break down that uncomfortable thing and to encourage people to speak up about it. I remember so you had yours done over Christmas, which is quite nice for you and us timings wise, because it meant that it felt quite discreet because we didn't do a huge amount over Christmas. Because the haircut is interesting. Like you came out fairly unscathed compared to some other people that I know, and everyone jokes about like people flying back from Turkey with huge like skull caps and bandages. And we know a few people that have done that.
Yes. I actually took the piss out of myself a little bit on the podcast, and through that made a connection with this wonderful surgeon who said, I can help you if it's a problem. Are people going to judge me for this? Or, and I asked him, I was like, am I a candidate? And he's like, yeah, you're a candidate, mate. You could do with some... So he told me that, I decided to do it, but I didn't want this to occupy any more space in my mind on a day-to-day basis, because that's what it does. And this is what men sit with. These things occupy spaces in our mind, and we, as men, need to, first of all, accept it and acknowledge it, and then remove the fear of judgment. I think men think that, speaking from my lived experience, a man losing their hair is a terrible thing for their confidence. They feel that it's making them less manly, less alpha, less themselves. And to go through a surgery or a cosmetic surgery, that comes with, am I going to be judged for this? Is this going to make me even less attractive to my partner or future partner? And it's an over-analysis cycle of doom that men get themselves into. And having lived through it and done it and had a really, really good experience, I hope that men don't sit in silence and let it just chew them up about this particular thing.
It's really interesting to hear from the perspective of a woman, because I would never know that there were men out there that were sort of sitting at their desks, working away, even considering the way that they look. Like, we just assume that it's not something that you guys would struggle with. And I never knew that you actually struggled with this.
It was always in the back of my mind. It was always in my mind.
But that must be exhausting, having something in your mind. And the fact, we often talk about the impacts to women of watching, of playing with Barbies, where they have, perfect figures, hourglass figures, and long skinny legs, and and Disney characters being beautiful. Like every single Disney main character lead role, whether it's Elsa that Leo's now
Pocahontas, Little Mermaid.
Yeah,
I can go all day.
Obviously, he mentioned
Jasmine.
that one because that's the one he fancies. Pocahontas, Jasmine, another one that you fancy. But that is, that sets us up.
But look at the
to
hair.
have these ridiculous standards of what we should all be looking like.
But the same goes for the men.
It's crazy that it affects men and women.
Let me
equally.
give you some examples. Aquaman, Thor, Hercules, even Aladdin's got long flowing hair. Who else? Tarzan.
This is something that's like really stuck with you.
Well, I'm a big Disney fan, so that's where the excitement's coming from. Like I said before, this was not like, I wasn't crippled by this situation. And I'm going to take my hat off right now and just show everyone the situation. I've got a lot of hair. I've got hat hair now. So this is a really bad example. But my hairline went back. So I've had some taken from here and I've had it put in there.
Yeah.
It's okay. It's okay. It's going to be okay, everyone. It's going to be okay.
No, but what I will say is that you have had like a slight dip in confidence this last week.
Oh, well,
because
I can tell
you've
you for
reached
why.
a shedding phase.
I'm in the shedding phase. I'm like a snake at the moment.
So let's just break it down really quickly. Actually, you did explain. They basically shave off the area that they need to pull the follicles from. They took.
Do you want to tell them about my follicles?
1,300. Brian calls it follicles. It's follicles.
No. It's good about the density of.
So they take out from you. They took 1,300 follicles,
right,
and they moved them to the V's that was sort of surrounding that. What's it called? Like a widow's peak.
Well, I have a widow's peak. Yeah.
A widow's peak. Yeah.
Oh no. Okay, so if we're going to spend some more time on this, so they look at my face, right, and they get me to raise my eyebrows. They see where the wrinkle line finishes. They look at my actual hairline, which you can still make out, but it's receded a little bit. So they draw the lines on, and they take their time over it. Then they take you upstairs and they shave your head with the clippers, and they try and do it as tastefully as possible, but I look like a Peaky Blinder. And then it's the extraction part where they put you face down, they numb your head, which I thought was going to be terrifying and painful. It wasn't at all.
Did they drug you up?
Yeah, I had some Valium.
Oh, nice. So Ryan came back from the hair transplant, the nicest he's ever been to me. And you can't remember the things that you were saying, so they obviously gave you some good stuff.
They must have done.
You were so woozy, and you were like, Louise, I just want to say, I've never thought about this before, but I just think you're really remarkable for everything that you've been through.
I would like to give you
I've
context.
just had a hair transplant, and it was a lot.
Okay, let me add to this, because this is worth mentioning. I got myself really worried about this whole procedure because other than my hand situation, we'll get to that. I haven't had any operations or spent time in hospital for myself, right? And here I am, like, willingly putting myself into an environment where I've got to have injections and medications, and I really got cold feet about the whole thing. I told you about it before.
Yeah, you didn't speak for a week before. Christmas was really fun.
On the day of
we had a wild Christmas and New Year.
On the day of the surgery, I told Dylan, I was like, I'm really quite nervous about this, and I'm not great with needles, etc. Anyway, as soon as I was sort of in process of the whole thing, all I could do was think about you, and it made me super, super emotional because you went through so much more than what I was going through. Do you know what I mean? So when I came out, I had to tell you, like, oh my God, I've literally been thinking about you all day because I've been. The reality, by the way, I was on my back watching Netflix. And I watched 3 movies while someone's
he had the best day ever. I was solo parenting, and Ryan was high.
Yeah.
Watching shit TV all day.
The surgeons were like, "Don't even worry, this is
massage."
They were like, "This is artwork for us. This isn't really that serious." And I'm like, "Let me tell you this. Do you know you fancy Jurgen Klopp? He's had a hair transplant. So's Steve Carell. So's David Beckham.
Okay.
So's Daniel Craig.
Jurgen Klopp is very fit.
He's also had a full face of veneers.
Well, every celebrity has.
No, but I'm just...
Including you, love.
Fuck's sake, that's the second bomb.
You've had about 6.
I'm going to come in with some added content. I've got 4 veneers because I had my front teeth smashed out with an elbow playing rugby.
Okay. No, I know. I'm not judging.
I'm using Jurgen because I know that you fancy Jurgen, which is fine. He's a pretty cool guy.
Yeah.
But I knew the teeth thing, but then I did some research on, like, who's actually had a transplant and kind of kept it under the radar. Jurgen Klopp, straight up there.
Nice.
So anyway, I'm going to
maybe lots of people will come out of the woodwork now. We'll put a list of celebrities in the show notes to out them and ask them if they want to come on the pod and do a confidence.
Can we give some stats quickly before we move it on?
Well, I was reading an interesting piece in the Times a few days ago that said that 95% of men that are now having hair transplants are under the age of 35, which I found quite shocking. But I suppose if we look at it like the kind of like, the equivalent is so different, but women have access to all of these different treatments. Women are but lots of women have nose jobs if they're very lacking confidence because they don't have the nose that they want. Boob jobs, Botox, people have facelifts. I mean, you see it all over social media now. People are having vampire facials. Like, they basically just like peel their whole face off and just get someone else's put on. I mean, it's crazy. And so for men, you don't really have the obvious thing. I suppose this is the equivalent. This is like the surgical equivalent that you can lean into to boost your confidence.
To add to your stat, 65. There's been a 65% hike in the last 3 months of hair transplants.
Wow, well, there's going to be an even bigger one now.
I kind of hope there is.
We saw that guy. So the week before Ryan had his, we were out having lunch around Sloane Square, and there was a guy who looked like he was fresh out of uni, super confident with all of his friends, and he'd obviously just had a hair transplant. Leo did point at his head and really quite loudly be like, what's happened to his head? And I was like, shh, you can't say that, because bless him, like it's obviously like quite a lot to go through, but good on him for just wearing it with pride. And then I said,
Totally.
we kind of laughed because we knew that you were going in for yours the week after.
I wasn't laughing at this.
Well, you were freaking out. I always thought my dad lost his hair really young.
Yeah, but
He kind of wears that like monk hairstyle with pride. And I didn't think that you needed one, but now I understand the reasoning for why you've had it. I'm so on board. When you look at the people, because we had this conversation over lunch where you were like, yeah, but all the most attractive men have this like long flowing hair, because I was worried now you've had a hair transplant that you're going to grow your hair really long and have like some ponytail. And no, I really, really don't want that.
Watch out, everyone.
But if I don't find that attractive...
Oh, you will.
No, I promise you I won't. So
I'm going to come summer, I'm going to wear a butt flap and I'm going to have long flowing hair. And you'll be like,
a butt flap?
That's what Tarzan wears.
Oh my God. Ryan's obsessed with Disney, everybody, if you can already tell. So Brad Pitt, fit...
In Troy.
With short hair. Does he have short hair in Troy?
No, long hair.
Rank in Troy, fit in like Fight Club. Is he in Fight Club?
Yes.
Yes. So it's a taste thing.
Yeah, but he didn't have a receding hairline. He had a wonderful hairline. So a shaved head on Brad Pitt is remarkably good. Not so much on Ryan, but it will be once I've had this regrowth.
So are you going to shave your head? I'd actually love you to shave your head.
Well, maybe I'll come in as Brad Pitt from Fight Club then.
Okay, great. Happy days. You might actually get some action.
But I feel like the generation of your dad and my dad and the old school blokes, very different mindset, different opportunities in front of them, less pressures, less social expectations, no social media. They would have just accepted it and be like, well, it doesn't matter. Internally, it might have mattered, but there was not the environment or opportunity. There was zero permission for men back in the day to really open up about this. For people like me, 35, 36 years old, there's options and there's more acceptance and people can do things. So, you know.
Do you think that they then had to like compensate in other ways?
Well, they probably did compensate in other ways, yeah. It's a very different existence. I'm thinking of your dad's life versus mine and him at my age. I don't know. It's different. It's very different.
It is. I think having a hair transplant is the equivalent of wearing hair extensions.
I would imagine lots of girls wear hair. By the way, I don't mind. I got no issue with hair extensions. I know that you wear hair extensions. Just outed you. But that's almost like a secret move that women have available to them. They can just clip them in or sew them in, or however you do it.
I like how you.
And it's like no one's gonna know really because they're so clever how they just kind of happen. But men don't really have that option unless you go for either a toupee or a hair extension,
a wig,
a hair transplant. So I don't know.
I'm so here for it. I think people should just be able to do whatever they want that makes them happy and feel good.
Well, that's the bottom line.
Like
that's
my hair has been through so many different cycles. I mean, I've been on every medication that I've been on has had hair loss as a side effect, like a pretty big one.
Yeah.
Like all of them. Do you remember when I came out of hospital having had my colon removed? 3 months later, I developed something called telogen effluvium. So niche.
Telogen effluvium?
My hair all fell out, like clumps in the shower, like my whole head of hair.
I do remember that, yeah.
That was quite scary. And I think that was like purely because my body hadn't been able to absorb any nutrients for a long time then when I was in hospital.
You handled that well. Yeah,
we deal with quite a lot as well.
No, I get it.
And actually some women do get really bad hair loss. I think about 15% of people that are getting hair transplants are actually women. But
this is the thing, at the clinic that I went to, and by the way, people are going every day, and it's a mixture of men and women. I didn't know that.
Really?
I found that so, I don't know, eye-opening. I was like, wow. Should we talk about, because obviously last week we announced, if you like, our journey with IVF and surrogacy.
Yeah.
Do you want to maybe give more context to that?
So last week we addressed the fact that we are going on this surrogacy journey, which feels like a really long road, to be honest, because there's so much that we need to learn. It's a fairly atypical route to growing your family, but it's an option that is we're really, really grateful that does exist for people like us, that where, you know, plan A hasn't worked, plan B hasn't worked, it's sort of plan Z. It's like, it's a last resort. And to kind of guide you along with us, it maybe makes sense to start from like when we first started trying to preserve our fertility. So I think we've mentioned before that it's taken Ryan and I like between 3 and 4 years to get to a place where we feel like genuinely really ready to grow our family. I knew that as a woman, I wanted to freeze some eggs and some embryos because our fertility declines every year that we're alive. So we're born with a finite number of eggs and they diminish every year. And actually I did write down a stat because this shocked me, and I think I read this morning. This is crazy. So by age 30, most women have only about 12% of their ovarian reserve left. And by 40, it reduces to 3%.
Oh my God.
Isn't that, I know. And I thought that actually, I know that it sounds really stark and I'm not meaning to sort of scare anybody, but I think for you as a man to hear that, I think that it might help you understand like why I feel in the position that I do, and why I maybe have been not treating it with some urgency, but like putting a little bit of pressure on the situation.
Well, I understood why you felt the time sensitivity around it, but I didn't know those stats. That's I actually didn't expect them to be so low.
Yeah,
the numbers. Yeah.
So, and there's a lot in the media. There's so much noise around like women's fertility sort of dropping off a cliff
And men's.
after the age of 35, and well, there's a lot more to discuss about men's, and I think we'll get to that. But we decided that we were going to freeze some embryos together, which feels really positive. I wasn't able to start that journey properly until September last year because I've had various surgeries that I've then had to recover from, and each recovery really takes like 6 months to feel properly yourself again and really stable. And we know that because when I had my colon removed and then also my perforation, the doctors have always said, like, even if you wanted to proceed with the next surgery, which might be having my rectum removed, they're like, everything inside, what do they say, is like a slippery snake. Like the tissues aren't strong enough to withhold another surgery. Like you have to let everything properly heal.
Yeah.
So the idea of then going and having even the IVF cycle just felt too scary for me.
Yeah.
And also I was on a medication to help with my inflammatory bowel disease, which...
And you couldn't run them at the same time?
I couldn't run them at the same time. Yeah. So they call it teratogenic, which is, you know, sounds like a complicated word. Essentially, it means that there's not enough research to show that it won't affect a growing fetus. So I've moved on to a medication that is suitable for growing a family.
That teratogenic
means that something that the medication
there's no
can
proof
affect.
That it won't.
Yeah, so it might like cross between the and so I sort of found an interest in researching all of that, and then I wanted to kind of like get stable again. Yeah. And last September we did an IVF cycle. For anyone that doesn't know what IVF is, I probably will say this wrong, like in vitro fertilization, essentially using science to combine eggs and a sperm and to then create an embryo to then hopefully kind of put it back inside you, or worst case scenario somebody else. And
or
I think,
is it worst case or just another scenario?
Well, it's another scenario. Yeah, actually that's a really nice way of reframing it. And 1 in 32 children now are actually born via IVF.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. And so that's near enough like 1 in every classroom.
That's also crazy.
Isn't that crazy? But also great.
Not bad crazy.
Great that people have the option. Yeah. Yeah. See, I actually thought it would be higher than that because I know so many people that are going through it. My best friend, and I'm sure she wouldn't mind me saying, she did IVF to have her first, who's my goddaughter, and that was 4 years ago. So a lot of my friends went through the IVF process before us. I think the guidelines, sort of like the NHS guidelines, are that if you've been trying for a year to get pregnant naturally and you can't get pregnant naturally, then you might look into whether you're suffering with some form of infertility, and IVF then is like the next route.
I have a question. Do you have to pay for IVF at every
So
term?
we do.
As in, there's no NHS free version of it, is there?
So there is.
There is.
Yes, only if you don't have a child. So you can access IVF on the NHS if you've been trying for over a year and you don't have any living children. And I only know one person that's doing it through the NHS. I think they make it very, very tricky to be able to access.
Because it's very expensive.
Well, I think like every trust and also every GP surgery has a budget that they can allocate to certain things. And so like if they're getting too many requests in one area, they'll just make people jump through hoops in order to access it, which it doesn't feel fair, does it? Again, then it becomes this postcode lottery. So there's lots to say on that.
Yes.
Maybe we could get some people in who are some experts in.
Maybe you should go on Good Morning Britain for it.
Shut up.
Holla.
Okay. So yeah, in September we decided to do our first cycle, our first round, and we did it at Chelsea and Westminster, which is the hospital where I've had all my surgeries. And I think for you that was quite hard to understand why I would make that decision. But they'd sort of umbrellaed my care. And they were actually the team that were able to get me to switch from one medication to the next. So it felt safe and close to home. And
no, I get it.
so we committed. So I suppose the process is that you go in for like a couple of scans. So you actually said the word the other day when I came home. You went, "Have you had a transvaginal?" Brian, literally, I came home and I looked a bit disheveled and I was like, "Oh," just like another appointment. And he went, "Oh, have you had a transvaginal?" I'm thrilled that you know the name of it now. But yes, you have a transvaginal scan where they put a big probe inside your vagina and they can see what's going on. So they can see your ovaries, which sit either side of your uterus. It feels like a real science lesson. And then you see these follicles growing inside the ovaries. Then you wait to start the treatment until day 1 of your period, which for someone like me is quite hard to track because I don't really get a period. Like I haven't really had a period.
And that's due to the birth trauma.
Yeah, because I've got...
Your womb never really rebuilt as it should.
Yeah, so there's just a lot of scar tissue. So there's no lining that can really build up and then shed.
It can't shed, yeah.
And then, yeah, you go in on day 1 and they do some measuring and then you get given these injections and it's FSH.
No.
What?
There's another thing that happens on that day 1.
Yeah.
Is that the focus goes out of nowhere onto the man in the room to say, "Are you good to hit the production room?" or come back and do a few tests. I found it, I was so not expecting it in the experience of what you're describing now, our first round of IVF. I thought I was a passenger. I didn't really want to be in the building anyway. So I thought I'll just go there and sit and be quiet. And I wasn't checked out of the conversation. I was there, but I was not expecting the doctor to turn the focus onto me quickly. So what was her first question? Probably something along the lines of, "When was the last time you ejaculated?" Yeah. I was like,
like quite personal. And I know I was really interested because I was like, well, it's definitely not been around me. So when was it, Ryan? and where was it and how did it go?
Yeah.
Like
anyway, and then that's when you realise that, oh, you've actually got to now do some tests yourself. So you got to do the whole semen analysis, which again sounds like something you can laugh at, and we can laugh about it, by the way. But it's such a bizarre experience, and it's quite a high pressure situation as well, because you get led to this room that they call the production room, and it's just a side room on the corridor. So you've got all the noise of other appointments next door. You've got all the staff going past. You've got cleaners, brooms like tapping the door, and I'm like, "I'm in here." And then you do your thing, and you open the hatch and you put your semen analysis. You ring the bell and you fucking run out. And then you think you can run out, and then someone stops you and asks for payment, and you're like, "Oh God, this is the worst experience of my life."
What happens in that room?
That is probably not content for the podcast.
For me to know and you to never find out.
Use your imagination on what happens in the room.
Do you have any material that you take in, or you can just use your memory? Answer the question.
Well, they have Wi-Fi in the building, so you could.
Okay, fine.
You could watch something, yeah.
Oh my God, I'd love to know what you watch. Anyway, that really is TMI.
Let's just remind you that my mum watches this show.
Oh God, Highlander. Oh no. Well, actually, it's good because my mum actually this morning was like, sorry, I forgot to ask you about your surrogacy and fertility update. I just be like, listen, every Wednesday morning, just tuck in. All the info you need to know is there. So I took a whole bunch of injections home and I have to inject every night. I think when I'd heard other people speak about IVF, there's this sort of whole mystery around it until you actually do it and until you get like a sheet of paper that breaks down the process. And because unfortunately people that embark on this journey often have to do it for a long period of time and do face huge amounts of really traumatic infertility that can end up being really expensive and very upsetting. In my mind, I assumed that the actual cycle process was several months long and that I'd be like battling this journey and the hormones for a really long time.
I thought
like
that would be the
year.
case.
Did you think that as well? Whereas everybody's cycle is different and you start these injections, they then monitor you after 5 days of taking the injections to see how you're responding to the medication. The medication makes your follicles grow much, much quicker than your natural hormone levels would, and they can then sort of see whether they need to make tweaks with the medication, if it's working effectively or not. And then it becomes like, I guess like one of the stresses is the convenience factor, because you have to go for scans every couple of days, and some clinics will make you go for a scan every day, which is obviously good because it means they're paying really close attention to the growth of these follicles, which they suck the eggs out of at the end when you have the egg collection procedure. But also it's really inconvenient, and everybody wants obviously the morning or the later, the morning or the evening slot to work around around their schedule. And so sometimes you have to go in the middle of the day. And I know women that have had to take a whole week of work off and kind of use that as their annual leave because they just can't commit to their like day job at the same time as doing this, because it does take 3 hours out of each day if you're having to travel to the clinics and stuff. So anyway, I got really excited because I thought my body was responding really well and I saw lots of follicles. So given that I had these 25 follicles, I thought then when we had the egg collection that I'd get 25 eggs.
Well, that's the problem. That is the problem by doing the whole comparison and looking at what other people are getting. Because you set yourself up for an expectation that might not be yours.
Well, you're right. And I even as well, and I hate to admit this, but I did go on ChatGPT as well and try to look at like average statistics, which they break everything down. And I was having full conversations with ChatGPT as if it was my friend and my doctor, and like, giving me access to like millions of other women who have been through this process before. And so I every milestone when like the sort of odds were like stacking against us and there was this big like drop off rate of things, I was then reverting back to ChatGPT and being like, and now what? How many, what's the chances of getting one embryo?
Is this
so? I think that was hard. So when it came to the egg collection, because I was so scared about the procedure, I did actually have a specific day that the eggs needed to be collected on, because they were going to take me to theatre and put me to sleep, because I was scared that like the sedation wouldn't be enough and what happened if something went wrong. And so they very kindly really accommodated my needs, and actually the procedure obviously was fine because I was asleep and I woke up just feeling very groggy. But I was very upset and disappointed when they told me that I'd only got 8 eggs from the 25 follicles. Again, I didn't really know exactly what that would lead to. The day
I didn't see that as a negative. Because how many do you need to make it work?
I think, it's a really good question.
You need 1. And you had 8. So in my mind, I'm thinking, what's the worry?
Well, no, but from 8 eggs, they then fertilise them the following day. So they inject your sperm into the egg. using something called ICSI, so they can specifically like pick out the sperm. So IVF, I guess technically, is where they let sort of survival of the fittest. They'll let the sperm race to the egg. Whereas if the sperm is not looking maybe as healthy as it could, they can hand select the best looking sperm and they inject them directly, giving it the best chance of working. And
That's technology right there.
yeah, isn't that cool? Using like insane magnifying glasses and it's insane magnifying glass. And then from the 8 that were fertilized, there's then this drop off over 5 days. So they call you on the first day, they call you on day 3, and then they call you on day 5. And by day 5, we had just one happy embryo.
But again, you say that as if it's like bad news. I'm thinking, how many do you need? 1.
And that's the really uplifting way of looking at it, is that you only need one good embryo to have a baby sometimes.
Okay.
And you have been really positive throughout the whole thing. And actually you did the cutest thing, which I just wanted to mention on the podcast, because I know that you didn't find that first whole process easy. And we didn't really talk about it a lot. And there were times where you're like, I just don't feel like I'm ready for this. And I think when I was then, you know, taking these regular calls and like I was so invested in it and like really wanted to get good results, you probably struggled a bit with that, feeling like you were 50% of every bit of good or bad news. It meant a lot to me when I came home and you'd like bought me a bunch of flowers written on it saying, was it like 1 in the freezer for safekeepies? Because like before that point, like we had not had a nice moment really talking about it. And I know that I don't know, I feel as though you'd like avoided wanting to talk about it or like to join any of the calls for the regular updates. But like knowing, like seeing that note for me just meant that I knew you were like, that you were in it despite the things that you...
That's me all over the... I might at times give you the impression that I'm not aware or in it, but I'm in it and I can see exactly what's happening. So I knew that I had to do something to show, and I could see how much it meant to you. So yeah, that's why the whole flowers and the card with the 1 egg in the freezies.
Yeah, and to make it into like a nice thing, like something slightly less like medically.
Yeah, right.
Just the like way you worded it was really nice. I think to your point about, you know, only needing 1 embryo for it to work.
I know that's not the end of the story. I know that you've then got to put it into the baby hotel. And that's not a guaranteed.
No.
I understand that, but I'm just trying to keep the process positive, because I think that with actually everything in life, I think it's all fed by the energy, right? So if we send this embryo on its way with positive, optimistic energy, I think it's got a better, at least in my mind, it's got a better chance. Whereas
I love that.
Whereas if we send it packing with, well, we've only got 1, so don't fuck it up. You know what I mean? It just adds like oh my gosh. I don't know. It's just a different way of, it's a different.
And is that actually like how you were thinking? So you're thinking more positively versus like, I don't want to go through this process again.
Both statements are true, but definitely the priority is send it, pack it on its way with some positive blankets around it.
Okay. It's nice to know that you're actually just coming at it from like a really
woo-woo. I'm
positive
getting more woo-woo.
way.
I'm getting real woo-woo in my age.
I guess like so what people would normally then do if they got 1 embryo, or like typically would do, is that they would then go for an embryo transfer and they'd have it put inside the woman.
Yeah. As in you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's not the route that we're going down, because I don't have like a hospitable womb.
No.
So there's no lining, and every embryo needs a lining to cling onto, like, you know, the period basically that's in there that needs to support the growth of the embryo. So for us, as you mentioned, the baby hotel, I guess that's actually a nice way of phrasing.
No, that's not mine. I took that from someone. It was a very sweet way of. She said it as a description to help me remove the sort of medical, maybe the oddity behind it, and she packaged it that way, and I was like, that's really helpful.
So one of the reasons why then we did another cycle, even though we had 1 embryo, is because with me not being able to carry it, it means that we have to find somebody else to carry it that requires like an immense amount of trust and planning, and also depending which route we go down, which it's looking like, I mean, the options that are available to us, they call them pathways with surrogacy, which makes it feel like a sort of work project
Yeah.
when it's something that's so much more intimate than that. But the options, I guess, are like, you know, doing it in the UK or doing it abroad, split into two camps. In the UK, there's something called altruistic surrogacy, which is our only option. So you can't, there's no, surrogacy here is not commercial. So you can't create a commercial contract. So you can't technically pay anybody to carry your child for you. So someone has to do it from the kindness of their heart, which is the altruism. But you can cover expenses. So medical expenses and sort of expenses for loss of, I guess, like certain privileges. And I think you can pay for like a few holidays and things for if the carrier has got a family and that sort of thing. So I think on average it costs about £20,000.
For the UK.
For the UK. Or you can go abroad. And there are various options that are more popular than others. So a lot of people go to, I say a lot of people, some people go to the US. Popular destinations are places like San Diego, but that is prohibitively expensive for most people that are struggling with infertility because it can cost 150k plus, which is really, really an expensive way to grow your family.
Expensive hotel.
It's an expensive. It's a really expensive. It's an expensive hotel, but then you are staying for 9 months. So it's the most expensive hotel that you can pay for. People now are choosing to go to Mexico City instead because it's about half the cost. And I know some same-sex couples that have gone through that process and had a really successful time doing that. And then we're also having a look at another option, which feels a little bit closer to home, which I feel like this is quite a lot to like say out loud because it's really making it real, isn't it? But also then part of me is like, God, are people going to like, I don't know. It just is, it's kind of like, it's a lot.
Yes.
There's a country called Georgia, which is about 5 hours away, and they have a couple of good surrogacy agencies there as well. So before the war broke out in Ukraine, people, when I say people, it sounds like I'm talking about a really like wide pool of people. I should be clear that this is a really small, intimate network of people that have no other choice than to go down the surrogacy route. I know a few people that were looking into Ukraine. I know somebody that had their embryos in Ukraine, and then when the war broke out, they had to find somewhere else. So they transported them to Georgia, and then they had a successful.
Well, they got them out of Ukraine,
there.
did they?
Yeah, they managed to. Yeah, and it's crazy to think that our potential children or child will be like an embryo is like sat in a vessel, like a freezing vessel somewhere that is able to be moved like internationally. Isn't that wild? And people, it's someone's job to carry them. So they get on an airplane and like that's that person's full-time job is they're like a cryo chamber carrier.
Oh, let me just tell you where I'm at, because a lot of this is not new information, but I'm going to say something that I don't know if it's going to annoy you or not. But let's just say that we're going to go forward with this baby hotel in Georgia, right? I don't think, regardless of how many conversations we have about this whole thing, and however warm and gooey and accepting I become towards this whole surrogacy thing, I don't think I'm ever going to get to a place that you probably want me to get to. And what I mean by that is I think I need this to be as clinical and transactional as possible. I don't necessarily want to go to Georgia. I'm not even sure if I want to meet the person. I don't know if I feel it necessary to build a relationship with the potential surrogate. Because if I can put a face to this process, I'm going to start to build expectations from this face, from this person. This is a mammoth thing to process, And the idea of trusting someone strange to carry my child is an almost impossible task. And I think the only way I'm going to do it is if I have a feeling that you'll probably want to go and spend time with this person, build a relationship, because that's the sort of style you have. I don't think from my lens that I can go through that.
It is a lot to get your head around.
I want to do this with you, and I want to fly out on said day, and I want to come home with our baby.
Do you think that that's because of like the lack of control and the worry that like you can't do anything to impact this person that's carrying our our
It will just open up.
DNA.
It will open up a completely new motorway and web of thoughts that won't help anyone in the situation. That might change, by the way, but this is where I'm at now.
Yeah.
And I have to tell you this now because I'm probably not going to tell you this at home. I think it's good to get an update on our journey because I suppose the truth is it's such a heavy and real-time event for us. We don't always get the time to do it at home. No. And admittedly, I probably don't make it the most accessible conversation. So this is a good opportunity to talk about it.
Well, also, let's, being really honest, we get to the end of a long day. You picked up Leo, I'm cooking dinner, and then it's like bath time and bedtime, and we're so knackered that the last thing we want to do is get into having to talk about this, because it can be uncomfortable.
Totally.
But yeah, it's nice to have the opportunity to make some progress.
Yeah. I also came across something recently, which I haven't shared with you, but I think you might like it. So you remember the whole kintsugi thing, that Japanese philosophy that we learnt about?
Yeah.
So I found another Japanese philosophy, ritual, something that we can maybe apply to this surrogacy thing. And it's actually having this conversation, I was thinking about this whole concept of misogi, and I haven't actually until now seen the relevance or connected the two together. So I'll tell you what it is. Misogi used to be, traditionally, it'd be like a quite an unpleasant thing that people would do as a way of sort of geeing themselves up. So cold water immersion. So people would stand under a waterfall to cleanse their mind, body and spirit. Now it's much more than that. So misogi is now seen as this one moment in the year that will define the rest of their year. And there's every chance that it might fail, but if it succeeds or if they succeed at it, it defines and it sort of transforms who they are. And to give you an example of where misogi might have popped up in my life previously, I think the Marathon des Sables last year was a misogi thing. It was a one-time thing in a year. I could have easily failed it, but I didn't fail it. And because I didn't fail, it transformed me as a person. It's that sort of line in the sand where it's this is me before, this is me after, and they are very different. And I think this surrogacy thing, I'm going to scratch my head. This is a one-time thing in a year. It could fail, but if it doesn't fail, this transforms everything for you and me and Leo. And when I read Misogi, I didn't actually... Yeah, but the emotion's good because you're feeling the importance of it. When I read Misogi for the first time, my mind went to, okay, so the Iron Man might be this thing, but it's not. Misogi is not about physical endurance challenges or anything like that. It's about something much deeper, much more considered and forever lasting. So I thought I'd tell you about that now. This has got me now. It's got me in the feels.
Why?
Because it applies really well and naturally to this.
Such a wise old owl.
I wasn't expecting that to get emotional towards the end about Misogi.
I love that though. I think everybody should find that one big focus in a year, that one thing that they think is going to really transform them as a person.
It's something that will force you to confront who you are, not what you say you are. Different to goals. Goals is like a repeatable thing. Maybe it's a series of things. Misogi is a one-off, singular event. Misogi is about identity. Forget all that noise. It's about who am I inside.
So it's about identity, the thing that's going to make you...
Different to your New Year's resolutions and goals. This is much bigger. This is a singular event in the year. Just wanted to get that across.
Okay, nice. Well, listeners, if you want to send them in, please email us. We've got a new email address. It's hsss@srproductions.co.uk.
That would actually be really lovely to see.
Wouldn't that? We could read them next week. And also, we have new bosses. We are now with a new team. And they've set targets. So if you guys could really kindly follow across all platforms, listen, subscribe, do all the good stuff. We're everywhere. YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Instagram. And also give us a cheeky follow on TikTok. We've only got bloody 13,000 followers on there. Shameful. And next week, it's Valentine's Day. So, Ryan, you better come with a present.
Don't you worry about next week.
What's my favourite flower?
White peony. No, white tulip, sorry.
Close
White
enough.
tulip, white tulips.
Loose.
White tulips.
Yeah, sweet. You can pop a little one up on the set. Thank you, guys.
Thanks.
Thank you for listening.
Thank you, bye.
This has been a Staying Relevant production.